So with the Cybertruck, one of the biggest complaints after we finally found out the details was that the HVAC system in the car cannot be transported to the bed of the truck. And a lot of people had some great ideas about how they were going to camp using this truck, but that turned out not to be the case. And there's a lot of complications for why that is, and it makes sense from an engineering standpoint, but it doesn't change the fact that, man, it would be really nice to get your HVAC back here. So what I'm talking about is a company that I met at X Takeover. It was Tesla Takeover that year, but Campstream. And what Campstream has done is they've developed this really cool system where they basically tap into the HVAC of the vehicle, route that then through some piping out the window, and you can put that anywhere you want. So when I first saw it, it was on a Model 3, and it was basically cooling off a tent on top of that Model 3. So I've had this thing set up for about 10 minutes. We're gonna take a look here. It's already 98 degrees in there, and I've left this thing open for just a couple of minutes while I'm talking. So 99 degrees is what we're looking at. And what this is going to climb to as soon as that sun comes out is well over 100 degrees in here. So what we're looking at here is the only version of this that exists. It's a prototype, so you'll see some, I guess, things that don't look so great, but don't worry about that. That's just because it's a prototype. But this is how simple this thing is. So basically we have this piece here, which is going to go on the dash and go over the vents in on the HVAC. And then what this is going to do is when we roll down the back driver's side window, this is going to go in place. And on one side, we have the receiver for one of these, and on the other side we have the vent that we're then going to pipe through to the tent. So it's really that's it. That's all there is to it. Now they do also make these covers here, which are kind of cool because depending on the time of year you're camping, you can either use the black side to try to attract some of the radiant heat from the sun, or if it's hot outside, you can reflect some of that heat. So this will help with the performance of the system as a whole, since we are piping this so far. So the first thing that we're gonna do, we're gonna drop this window, we're gonna place this in its place, and basically kind of just goes nicely in place there. All right, so now that that's in place, we've got our through hole here that you can see. This is where we'll have one pipe coming to it and then pulling out. All right, so the next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna place this. It's got a indicator here to show you roughly where that middle is, which is where you wanna point this. And I can already feel it pushing the air out through this really nicely. And then we'll take the smaller of these two, and this is going to go right onto that. Once we get that in, we're gonna pull this around and it'll clip in place and it'll be secure. And then on this side, we're just gonna fill this thing in there and it should fit in nicely. You'll feel it kind of set into place. And then we just wanna pull that a little bit tight. And now again, feels really nice. So we'll put this up here and we'll feed this into the tent in just a moment. Let's take one more last temperature reading inside the tent now that the sun is bearing down on us. So it's 112 degrees in there now. Like I said, well over 100 degrees. It's very warm. It's not comfortable in any way, shape, or form. So now we want to take this air right here, of which is currently sitting at about 88 degrees just from starting up, and I'm going to feed this in through this corner right here. And then when I get inside, I can adjust that. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna leave this just like this. As you can probably see from the sweat on my face, it is currently warm as heck in here. All right, it is 126. I'm gonna go turn camp mode on now. All right, climate. And then I wanna turn camp mode on, and I'm gonna turn this baby down. Maybe in 10 minutes, we'll take a look and see what the temperature is in there. All right, so it has been almost 10 minutes now. It's now 1:35, and just in that 10 minutes, I can already tell a difference because this already feels a lot cooler. So let's take a look. Let's see how our temperature is. And yeah, I can feel it immediately. So it's now 89 degrees, or about 23 degrees cooler. And if we look at the vent now, 78 degrees coming out of that vent. So quite a significant drop in temperature just in 9 or 10 minutes. and that'll continue to be the case depending on how well insulated your tent is. Of course, this, you can increase the temperature, decrease the temperature, you can set the fan speed, all of that just on the HVAC in your car. So this is doing a pretty good job, and if we look at the temperature there, it's 67 degrees on the side of this, and I can already see some condensation building up, which is pretty crazy. So I've got this thing on full blast, and it is just dumping the cool air in there. So it's doing a great job of cooling it down, and this is the way to take care. I mean, it's not that bad today. It's 84 degrees, but inside of a tent, 110, 115, 120 degrees, that's not very comfortable. So this is how you can use the HVAC in your Cybertruck to keep air conditioning or heat, keep a comfortable temperature in your tent, whether it's the Cybertent, rooftop tent, or a tent right here on the ground. Any of those will work with this setup. So like I said earlier in the video, Campstream already makes this for the Model 3. Actually, I think the Model 3 Highland is on there, and the R1S and R1T. There's a link in the description of an email that you can send, let them know, yes, this is something that you want for your Cybertruck. Code BTG will save you money, but here's the thing, their goal is to start shipping these in the springtime of 2025. And if you're going to be camping, whether it's in one of these tents or on the ground with your Cybertruck, it's a no-brainer, and you could probably figure out a way to pipe that into just the bed with the vault mostly closed as well, but we'll leave that for another time. So I hope that you enjoyed this video, and I can't wait to catch you on the next one.